Frankie Turner. I'm 18. I live on Grange Farm, which is a farm situated just north of Leicestershire. We are an arable and beef farm. We used to be a dairy farm about 20 years ago, and then we packed up the dairy and introduced the beef herd of pedigree Bazidays. And we've got a mixture of Herefords and Lincoln Reds, as well as the pedigree beef animals. The farm was bought in the late 50s, I believe, by my great-grandma, my great-granddad, and they were obviously milking. And then they had my granddad, who carried on the milking and met my granny, and they again carried on the milking and had my uncle and my mum, and my uncle's really kind of focused on the arable as well. And like I said, we packed up the dairy as it was getting quite expensive, and I think beef was an easier option, a better option. And we developed our arable land, we bought more arable land, started producing beef, and we were growing wheat and barley and oats. And yeah, so then I was born, me and my brother were born, and we were a full-time beef and arable farm. And me and my brother have just grown up on the farm and loved it so far. It's just such a good opportunity to get out in the fresh air. You know, there's never one thing you can never say is you're bored, because there's always something to do on the farm. My brother's loves tractors, always loved tractors. I've always loved tractors. Obviously, I've been horse riding as well. So I think when my brother started working for somebody else, I kind of became more interested in the farming. I'm quite interested in the business side. Just living on a farm's all I've known, really. I'm incredibly interested in welding and sort of engineering. I really enjoy making different things that are going to help our farm. So we make all of our gates on the farm. So I do my welding. I've made projects for young farmers that have entered into competitions, and me and my uncle really enjoy making new things, such as parts for drills, and also we've really focused on biosecurity for TB. So we've created some rollers that go on creep feeders and water troughs, and they kind of stop the badger getting to the food or urinating around the food. So yeah, biosecurity, we've really focused on that. So we kind of adapt and create our own little projects for the farm. I'm doing my A-levels at the minute, and I would probably say that there's not much mention of agriculture, especially for women in farming. They kind of focus on university and the big universities that you can go to in the country, but agriculture's never considered at all, really, which is quite surprising. I'm quite involved in young farmers. I really love doing the public speaking, and I've organised charity events for young farmers. So we organised a Valentine's tractor run, and we raised over £2,000 for cancer research and the FCN. So I've done that along in young farmers. I think it's incredibly important to be a young female voice in farming, because we are seeing more and more young girls coming into farming. There's obviously those stereotypes and comments that are often said, and I've had comments said to me before that I've not liked before. But yeah, it's really important to kind of promote agriculture in the best way possible and promote it to young girls, because it's such a vital industry for the UK. We are breaking down gender barriers today anyway, so yeah, it is really important for women. A lot of my friends who aren't in farming, they often ask me questions about it. I try and promote it in the best way possible. They are very interested in it, and as young people I think that's really important, and it's good to see that people ask me questions about it. Sometimes you get the odd silly question, which I'm not surprised about, because I do think a lot of people aren't aware about the industry, but I love talking about farming all the time. I worked on a farm in France in 2023 when I was 16, and that was such an eye-opening experience, because it kind of showed that farming is very similar around the world. I was kind of expecting it to be a whole different world, and actually it was very similar. Obviously in France, where I was, we were in the Champagne region, so it was really interesting to see how farming was on such a big scale. Over there, obviously, in that region, they've got no hedges, so it was really interesting to see how they kind of divide up their fields, how they cultivate all the crops. And then business, I'm really interested in business management and how businesses kind of operate, especially in agriculture. So that's given me kind of a broad knowledge that I can use in the future on how I can improve a farming business. And then media, I really enjoy promoting agriculture on social media and creating new little projects that I like to promote. And I've done Midlands Farmers social media on Instagram and TikTok, so that's really helped me the media's helped me develop my skills that I can use to promote agriculture in the best way possible. It's really important to promote the farming industry because we're always going to need it, especially at the minute with the inheritance tax. I've tried to really put my opinions across and kind of hope and help the general public perceive farming in a better way, because the majority of them don't. I think there's a lot of stereotypes, so promoting agriculture is incredibly important because it's my lifestyle, it's a lot of people's lifestyles, and I'm trying to just promote that as much as I can because I want it to continue, and I want people to see that the quality that British farmers produce is it's better than a lot of other places, definitely a lot better than other places, and the animal welfare is to a larger and higher standard than food that we import from other places. And I think I've seen before the inheritance tax, a lot of people wanted to see, buying British produce, saving the environment, reducing emissions. And now that the inheritance tax has come along and farmers have kind of stood up for their rights, we've seen people saying, oh, well, it's all right, we can just import from another country. And they've just, changed their opinions. And I think that's quite upsetting to see because we need to buy British produce. Hopefully, if everything goes how we want it to, I just hope it can continue and we can produce more sustainably, because I'm very interested in kind of the machinery side and how we can create new machinery that's going to be better for the environment. I've looked at maize hoes and the use of less fertiliser, less sprays. So I hope that we can continue in a sustainable way, but I hope that we can continue and we get a little bit more out of it. And I just want the public to see how important it is and almost just recognise that the hard work that goes into farming. I love my family. We all kind of live together on the same premises, so it's really important. I think we have such a close relationship, and family farms, I feel like they probably put in the most effort and we do it for the love of farming rather than on an industrial scale. It's such a tight-knit community and we just love farming. That's all. We just want to be able to carry on with our jobs that everybody's known the whole of their lives, and we're all so close and we really care about it. And I think that's the most important thing for family farms, that we actually care, and the quality and the effort and the time that goes into it. Women being in farming is completely normal to me and my mentality, because the farm kind of started with my great-grandma, and my gran and my mum are very into farming, and that's been their job for most of their lives. So I've been born into a long line of women that have been in farming, and I've kind of grown up with the mentality that women in farming is normal. But I think in other people's perspectives, it's very different, because it probably still is a male-dominated industry. So to me, being a woman in farming is very normal, but I think to other people, it's probably quite different. Probably the biggest person that's influenced my life in farming is my uncle, because without him, I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have today. He's the one that's given me the opportunities to drive some bigger machinery, and he's the one that's inspired me to be innovative and creative, and because he's very innovative and creative, he creates his own little things, and yeah, he's definitely influenced me. He's helped me to kind of be the person that I am today. He's very supportive of me, and without him I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I have now, and I wouldn't be able to drive the stuff that I do now. And then also my mum and my gran, because they've normalised being a woman in farming and never made me feel like I shouldn't be part of it. They've always been so inclusive, and yeah, they've definitely been an inspiration to me. So my granny is still working on the farm. She's in her mid-70s. And then there's obviously my mum and my uncle, and then me and my brother. So there's kind of a mix of generations, new perspectives, old perspectives. So it helps us to work properly together, because we've all got different experiences, and I often like to bring in my new ideas. And obviously with the rise of social media, I quite like to say how important it is and to promote over social media, because that's how young people consume the media these days. So yeah, working with different ages is definitely quite important, I think.